My role really is just to reflect, I suppose, on what we've heard so far. And I suppose then to talk about what we're going to do next, where we're going moving forward, because our journey is by no way over. So I suppose looking at what we've spoken about so far, what we've heard that we've been through a journey, and we've been dragged kicking and screaming for the past 7 years from the start to the finish. But we've arrived at a point now where we feel we have a good handle on things. And just to reiterate what Dr. Buckley said, she feels that ISPCC are setting the standards in relation to outcomes, and we really do feel that we're getting there. Dr. Buckley spoke in length about the views of the service users. We take that for granted, I suppose, in our work. We think we do it all the time, but all of the reports would indicate very clearly that there are problems, there's gaps, there's a lot of learning that we still need to do. We need to make sure we're incorporating measures that include the voice of the child and the voice of the family, and we feel that, we're doing that. Relationship is key. Emma has spoken about that also. Janice has spoken about that in her work. Tess has spoken about it. Key indicator, 30% of cases, change happens because of relationship, but it's the most difficult thing to measure. And as Emma has said, it's not around just a one tool. It's around the clinical opinion. It's around observations. It's around a manager shadowing their staff, being able to see that quality of the interaction when a client comes in and meets with their worker. It's being able to identify a very strong match for a mentoring client. So getting that match right, because it's going to be a long piece of work. Being able to identify that one good adult, that person who's going to be there for that child, for that young person, or for that parent. So in summary, I think we've got a very strong base. We know we're doing a good job. ISPCC generally don't boast about what we do. We're not boasting about it now. What we're trying to do, I suppose, is bring to bear 6-7 years of hard work. This is where we are. This is where we've come to. And we're doing this in the spirit of learning, in the spirit of partnership. We're happy to share this. This is something we feel works for families, and we all have the best interests of families at heart. So what does this actually mean? So we know we need to measure outcomes. Tess has spoken about how we measure outcomes. So what next? How does this actually translate to our families on the ground? We've worked in 2013 alone, from the 1st of January to the 31st of October, with 403 clients. Now, we're really delighted with these stats because they're actually pretty much live data. And, Tess has mentioned the fact that we have quality, accessible data. Our systems we have in place mean that we can access live data at any given time. So these are hot off the press. These were given to Caroline O'Sullivan on Monday, so these are really raw, really real. 403 clients is our 2013 clients, but we've also worked with 2012 clients that have carried over. So obviously for the purposes of this presentation, we're just looking at clients for this year alone. Of these 403 clients, 194 have actually completed interventions. They have been closed to date. The important thing I think as well to say is while we're looking at open, closed clients, through our services, specifically through our Childline service, we actually have contact with over 2,000 young people a day. So we have contact with young people, a huge number of young people, on a daily basis. These outcomes then are based on these closed cases, and we break our cases down based on Hardiger level of need. So the buzzword is our Hardiger level, so we know that this is what we're defining our clients based on. So we've broken it into our Hardiger level 2, level 3 and level 4. And you can see that nearly half of our clients are at level 3. 20% in 20% are around level 4, but 32% are level 2. And that's really important for us because when we're talking about, I suppose, tendering for services, there's an emphasis on high risk clients. But I suppose the whole focus is our early intervention and our prevention, and also empowering families. We want to go in and do a piece of work with the family. We don't want to stay in there for years. We want to build that resilience within the family. We want to go in and provide that support to a family at the level 2 also. So we will continue to work with level 2 families. When we look at our measuring outcomes, we are evaluating our outcomes based on a number of measures. And what we can show is that 70% have shown clear positive outcomes in all of those areas. 16% have shown some positive outcomes, and 6% of clients require further support following our ISPCC interventions. So We can blow our own trumpet and say, great, funders can see 94% of positive work has been done. We can show 94% of a positive outcome rate for our ISPCC work. Is this a figure that we pull from the air? Can we just do it through a tick box exercise? If we go back and we look here again at our table that Tess spoke about earlier on, we don't just use one measure. We actually use 5 specific measures. And believe me, it's 5 specific measures. It's pulling all of those measures together. It's gleaning those measures from our staff on a monthly basis. It's pulling it all together and actually forming an opinion based on all of those measures as to whether there has been a positive change or not. We're looking at our sets, so we're looking at our standardised evaluation tools, so our scientific measures. We're looking at the stuff that NUI Galway have developed for us. We're looking at our individual programme planning. Tess and Janice spoke about that again. We ask our clients, what do you want? What do you feel you want to change in your life? What 2 things, 3 things would you like to change when our work is completed? They're the goals that the young people set themselves. So we evaluate it based on that. Our clinical opinion must override everything. Our observations. The fact that our child who sits upstairs for 4 weeks of your visits eventually opens the door and grunts down the stairs at you is progress. That's important. It's positive. It's those changes that matter. It's all of those things that we can see. It's the child that makes eye contact after 2 months of coming to see you. It's those changes. That's the clinical opinion. And then another key thing, which we have heard talk about a lot, and we know we're leading on this because we've heard this. We've heard it from other sectors. We've heard it from the stakeholders themselves. Referrers like to be asked their opinion. They aren't usually asked their opinion. It's a case of, we just refer it in, that's great, we can close it to social work, it's gone, ISPCC are doing that piece of work. We may never see it again unless there's a child protection issue and it comes back in again. But we're actually going to the referrers. We're saying, how do you think this has actually changed for this child? Teachers, how do you feel this has changed for the child? Can you see a change in the child in the classroom? Janice has spoken about that. So we're including the referrers. We're trying to encompass a whole child approach to outcomes, and we feel that all of our work is doing that to date. We're looking at the I have, so we're looking at the increased social support. You've heard the voices of the young people talking about that, what that means for them. We're trying to draw out the increased coping and the resilience. We're trying to pull out the ordinary magic, as Marston calls it, that's inherent in every single child, that just needs a light, a lens to be shone on. That's what we need to try and pull out. We're looking at the I can. We're looking at the 16-year-old who's been referred into us as a last stop shop. He's been JLO'd, he's been involved in everything, he's expelled from school. This young person that comes into school on the day that his worker is going to be there just to see his worker. So they are the outcomes that we're talking about. This is where the change occurs. You can see from our numbers that the highest number is actually within the increased coping ability and the individual resilience. And all of the evidence would show that this is where the long-term change occurs. If you have a child that has that core belief in themselves, that believes that they're worthy, that they're loved, that they're lovable, that they're important, that's the thing that's going to have our long-term level 4 outcome or change. So, what's next for us? So our Carb learning cycle, probably all familiar with this, it's an ongoing journey. We're adults, we're continuing to learn, we're an agency, we're continuing to grow. We've been open to the experience, we know that we needed to do our work on our outcomes. We've been aware of it, we're valuing it, we're reflecting on it, we're incorporating that into our mindset and our cognition. We're conceptualising it, we're looking at what this means, how this actually going to make a difference to our clients. And then as Janice said so eloquently, we give it a go. We try, we keep going, we keep pedaling because we'll get there at the end. But it's a cycle, so it continues. For us, it's next piece of work, and Emma will be delighted to hear that she's going to be in our working group till the bitter end. It's going to be ongoing. We still have a lot of work to do. What we want to look at now is, we know that we have strong outcomes, but we need to know why. We need to know why this piece of work with this client is making a difference. Is it the relationship? Is it the goals that the client identified? We need to know why. We need to know why it's working and why it's not working, so we can continue to learn. We think we're unique. I suppose all agencies do. I think the young people have really spoken around the quality of our services. We think we're really making a difference. Children and families are all unique. They're all very individual. So our response is that services need to be unique to meet their individual needs. So I'm just going to hand it back over to our Children's Advisory Committee, young people, just to talk about why they feel ISPCC is unique.
ISPCC is unique because it's a child-centred or charity, which means it's based on children and it listens to the children and tries to do something about what they say.
The ISPCC speaks out for children and tries to make Ireland better for them.
ISPCC is unique because it's based on children. Children's opinion, they take in children's opinions and they listen to them and try and make a change.
It's better than most services because they're unbiased and they take the children seriously as if they were an adult themselves.
The ISPCC is the only charity in Ireland which provides 24-hour service for children.
We wanted to thank the volunteers because they spend their time helping children and asking the children about their lives.
There's loads of volunteers who spend their time out of their daily lives to help young children that need help, and they don't get paid or anything. They're just there to help.
Children get help from it, and they get confidence.
To just know that there's somebody there to talk to, that they can talk to, or that can help them to learn to talk, I think can only be the best thing ever.
So just to close, ISPCC is committed. It's part of our ethos. It's part of our ongoing commitment is that outcomes will be integrated and embedded in all of our work. We're happy to share the learning and to continue in our work to make sure that we're always here for children. Thank you very much.